Hi, everybody. This is part 3 of my live stream series on apps that increase productivity while working remotely. I just want to reiterate with the live streams that this will be good for you whether you're a business owner or work as part of an online team or even as an employee who's now working remotely. So today I want to talk about workflow apps. And workflow apps really are more about streamlining processes so that things are quicker for you or automated for you. So the first one I want to talk about is something called Zapier. It's Zapier, and there's only a web-based version for it. There is different plans. It is free to sign up for. You're limited by the number of zaps that you can do, which are really automations. So one of the great things about Zapier is that with all these online tools, there's lots of integrations, but there's also a lot of integrations that do not exist between multiple platforms. And that's kind of where Zapier comes in, where it will connect two platforms or two tools. So for example, something that you might want to use is if you post a picture to Instagram, you might want to save a hard copy of that picture into Google Drive. If you set up a Zap, it will automatically save that picture into a Google Drive folder. You can integrate using Zaps. You can integrate an email marketing system like ConvertKit with another tool where every time somebody is tagged with a certain tag in ConvertKit, that then triggers something to have that person maybe classified or categorized in another system. It could be a CRM like HubSpot, something like that. There also is things that or Zaps that exist, for example, where you can automatically copy any attachments from an email in Gmail into Dropbox. So they have all types of different customizations, which really makes it nice to streamline and automate things like that. So it works with thousands of different apps. I talked about Google in both part 1 and part 2 and some of the tools that they have, but tons and tons of stuff there. Google, Facebook, WordPress, Salesforce, you name it. So check it out. Again, that's Zapier, Zapier. Another one that's very similar and not quite as robust and customized, but still very helpful is something called If This Then That, or IFTTT. This is also another workflow automation, and it's much simpler. The user interface is not quite, in my opinion, not quite as good, but there are, hi Kay, hi Dan, hi Nir. The user interface isn't quite as good, but they have these recipes. So you can do things such as automatically call or add a call log from your Android to a Google spreadsheet, or send emails to your coworkers when you wake up and have like a trigger that reminds you of that, or use Alexa or another voice assistant to perform more complex tasks. So unlike Zapier that has a little bit more customization, a little bit more complexity, I think the interface is better. If This Then That also has an iOS and an Android version, not just the web version. So you can use that from your phone or your mobile device a little bit more easily than you could Zapier. And there are most of the stuff on If This Then That is free, but there are some premium integrations, just like with Zapier. Zapier has the free version limits the number of Zaps you get in a month, and then also depending on which apps you want to integrate. Some apps are considered premium apps, so you might have to get a premium plan for that, but there are a lot of things that you can do completely free. Trello is another one. Trello is a very popular workflow management app and tool. It is available on iOS, on Android, on web, and Mac and Windows. So pretty much across the board, anybody can access it from just about any tool. Sorry, Linux users, again. But it's really great for organizing and collaborating on ideas. You can do a lot of different things with attachments and checklists and subtasks and due dates. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, how could this be different than maybe a different project management space? Because I use Trello, but I also have a primary project management space. So why would this be different? For this, I use Trello for some of my live stream planning, some of my social media planning, and some of my email marketing planning. And that's more on my side to organize ideas and plan out when I'm going to actually broadcast things. This can also work really well for blog posts if you want to have kind of a content calendar. But there's a lot of also workflow automation that can be built in, a lot of integration with things like Google Drive and Slack, which I talked about Slack on Monday. I don't know. I'm all mixed up on my part 1 of this series. But you can create different boards. So think of like a board as like a tab in Excel or in Google Sheets. So a board would be kind of like a tab, and then within that you have lists of different items, and then each item you can also add in more detail on it. So it's very awesome. You can assign things. So if there's multiple users within your Trello account, so you could potentially, if you wanted to get away from a different project management platform, you could use that. Right now, they don't have any time tracking tool that I know of that integrates well with Trello. So you would have more of a manual process here at my organization. The project management space that we use as a time tracker that tracks directly to the task, so we can better budget for projects and kind of keep an eye on where we are with things specifically, not as like an umbrella to see where we can create some efficiencies. So I lost track of what I was saying here. So anyway, Trello is really awesome. Again, also free. I'm all about the free stuff, right? And a lot of good integrations with that as well. Another one is Asana. Asana is more of a card-based project management tool. I don't personally use Asana, but I know tons of people do. They have a lot of great integrations. And Asana is great when you have a little bit more complex projects. Or maybe timelines. There are some really good third-party integrations that Asana has with Slack and Google Drive and time tracking tools and that kind of thing. They also have an app. So if you are working on a smaller project or a smaller task, I would say try to keep that in something like Trello if you're willing to work with 2 systems. But then when you have a more substantial project or more complex work, I would look at something like like Asana. Here at Megan Dixon online, we use something called Active Collab, Active COLLAB. I've been using Active Collab for close to 9 years. They're constantly coming out with new features, integrations. I really like how that you can customize some of the things in Active Collab, but that's what we use internally and with client communication. I have more of a preference with that, but again, with all 3 or all parts of this video series, everybody kind of has to find what works for them. I know tons of people that love Asana. That is available on iOS, Android, and web, but there is no app or software or anything like that for computers. It's just web-based. So just like with Asana and Active Collab, I've been using Active Campaign a lot lately for a client. So but Active Collab, what we use, both of those are again really great for more complex projects, or if you really want to have a more detailed log of what's going on, timelines, dependent subtasks, that kind of thing. Another one that's very similar, if you're looking for just project management on its own, another really great solution is one called Basecamp. And it doesn't have a lot in terms of organization and communication or collaboration tools because it's focused more on the organization of the project, not so much, it's not so much the communication of the project. So It's really good for the organizational aspect and for some email integration, some to-do lists. There are some plugins and some shortcuts and tricks and kind of like that. But Trello and Asana and, Trello you could even use if you didn't have a big team, but Asana and Active Collab, like what we use, are better for bigger teams or multiple clients. Basecamp is really good for smaller organizations or maybe more one-off projects that are a little bit simpler. Basecamp is available on iOS, Android, web, Mac, and Windows. Sorry, Linux. And Basecamp has been around for a long time as well, and they're constantly adding new things. So Basecamp I became familiar with before I even started my company. We used it at an organization that I worked at, and they've come a very long way. So just a little bit of a recap here on some of the workflows that I discussed. Zapier, which is web-based only. This is going to be more of an automation type thing. If This Then That, or IFTTT, that is also going to be a workflow automation where it's going to automate some of the things that you might be manually doing. And then Trello, more of a simplified to-do or organizational tool for some of your projects, but a lot of good integrations. But again, it's going to be something that's a little bit more simple. And then Asana is a project management space, as well as Active Collab, and then Basecamp. So there's a lot of other great tools out there. Those are some of the ones that I see come across my desk a lot, or we use here internally. So I wanted to share those with you guys. Again, with any of these live streams, please comment if you have anything that you use that you find really helpful that falls kind of in line with the category of the part of the series, and I want these to be helpful for everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed the video today, and have a great day, everyone. Thanks for stopping by or watching the replay. Bye now.